Welcome, everyone, to today's Explainer. Today we're tackling something that hits really close to home for millions of people, and that's budgeting on a low income. Right out of the gate, I just want to validate something for you. Doing this is genuinely ridiculously difficult. It's exhausting. And let's be honest, sometimes it feels literally impossible when you're just trying to scrape by and cover everyday needs. A lot of the financial advice out there kind of assumes you've got all this extra cash lying around to play with, which honestly feels like a cruel joke when you don't. So we're totally bypassing all of that today. This explainer is your practical, real-world survival guide built on strategies that actually work when absolutely every single dollar counts. I mean, how many times have you heard some financial guru tell you, hey, just cut back on lattes or stop buying avocado toast? It is so incredibly frustrating, right? Standard advice like that is just completely out of touch when you're purely in survival mode. When you're on a super tight budget, you aren't buying $6 lattes to begin with. So we've got to throw that kind of advice right out the window. It just doesn't serve us. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what I'm talking about. Standard budgeting advice is always pushing this 50-30-20 rule. 50% for needs, 30 for wants, and 20 for savings. But the low-income reality is a whole different ballgame. Often 80%, or honestly even more, goes straight to basic keep-the-lights-on survival needs. Standard rules completely fall apart when your moth looks like that. When almost everything is eaten up by necessities, you need a totally different approach. So here is the exact step-by-step blueprint we're following today to help you take back control. First up, the budgeting reality check. Second, know your real numbers. Third, maximize resources, minimize costs. Fourth, save and grow your income. And lastly, mastering the money mindset. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1, the budgeting reality check and why the old rules just don't apply. We really have to start by addressing the elephant in the room. When money is genuinely tight, there's absolutely zero room for error. You can't just shrug off an overdrawn account or a forgotten bill because the ripple effects are immediate and they are severe. Because the stakes are that high, budgeting on a low income isn't just possible, it is absolutely essential. There's this massive myth out there that you only need a budget if you have tons of wealth to manage. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. The less you have, the more crucial it is to have a strict, ironclad plan for every single dollar. Think of a budget not as a restriction, but as a flashlight in the dark, showing you exactly where your survival tools are. Moving on to Section 2, know your real numbers. Track every single dollar. Look, I know that sitting down and staring at the numbers when things are tight is physically and emotionally painful. It's stressful. A lot of us just want to avoid it altogether. But here's the truth. You simply cannot manage what you do not measure. You've got to sit down and write out your exact monthly income versus your exact monthly expenses. Don't guess here. Pull up your actual statements. On the income side, write down your wages, any benefits you're getting, side hustles, the whole shebang. Then list every single expense. Rent, utilities, groceries, transportation, debt. Seeing the absolute unvarnished truth on paper, that is step number 1 to turning things around. Now, once you've got those numbers, you have to prioritize them. If the money doesn't cover everything, you must stick to this absolute non-negotiable hierarchy. Number 1, housing. Keeping a roof over your head always comes first, period. Number 2, utilities, because you need power and water to be safe. 3 is food, and we're talking basic survival groceries here. 4 is transportation, so you can actually get to work and keep that income flowing. 5, essential medications. And 6, your phone, which is vital for work and emergencies. Only after these 6 core things are covered do you put a single dime toward anything else, including debt. Section 3, maximize resources, minimize costs, leveraging what's available. If you do the math and realize your income literally doesn't cover those top 6 priorities, we have to pull the lever of community and government resources. Period. There's SNAP for food assistance, LIHEAP for utility bills, and WIC for women and children. And hey, dialing 211 or going to 211.org is a fantastic way to connect directly with local resources like food banks or housing assistance. Please, hear me on this. There is zero shame in using these programs. None. They exist specifically for this exact situation. They're a safety net paid for by tax dollars. Claim what you are absolutely entitled to. Once you've tapped into that assistance, we've got to look at the money you are spending. Since discretionary income is pretty much non-existent, you can't just say, oh, I'll cut out movie nights. Your biggest expenses are almost definitely housing and food. So ruthless, laser-focused reduction has to happen right there in those two categories if you want to actually move the needle. So how do we actually do that? Well, getting a roommate instantly slashes your housing costs in half, a total game changer. Supplement your pantry at local food banks. Do your shopping at discount grocers like Aldi and stick strictly to store brands. Meal plan like your life depends on it to ensure absolutely zero food waste. And here's a big one. Call your utility companies. Ask them to put you on budget billing or a low-income tier. You've got to be proactive and make the call, but it can save you so much money. Section 4. Save and grow your income. Moving from survival into growth. So the crucial point is, this is where we shift from purely playing defense into playing a little offense. We're going to start actively building a safety net, and your very first goal is a micro fund of $200 to $500. Getting this tiny, totally achievable buffer prevents a minor hiccup, like a flat tire or a broken appliance, from turning into a high-interest credit card crisis that just buries you. Now, if you're thinking, how on earth do I save when I'm already scraping the bottom of the barrel? Try these micro-saving tactics. Sell things around the house you don't need anymore. Pick up a quick odd job or a gig on your days off. If you get a windfall, even a small birthday check or a tiny tax refund, stash it away instantly. Or use an app that rounds up your purchases and saves the spare change. Even if you're only putting away $5 to $10 a month, it is infinitely better than nothing. It builds the habit of paying yourself first. Now, what's really interesting about the slide is how all this theory looks in the real world, with a sample $1,500 monthly budget. Just look at how the math works when you apply these strategies. Rent, split with a roommate, is $500. Utilities are negotiated down to $80. Groceries, thanks to meal planning, sit at $150. Transportation's $100. Phone, meds, and personal care are bundled at $110. And then debt, emergency savings, and MISC take up $190. Total expenses? $1,130. Out of a $1,500 income, that leaves an amazing $370 left over. That surplus is your ticket to aggressively paying down debt and building up that emergency fund. But we do have to acknowledge a really hard truth here. Cutting expenses has a floor. At a certain point, you literally cannot cut your budget any further without hurting your health or your sanity. When you hit that absolute bottom, increasing your income becomes the absolute most important lever you have left. It's the ultimate way out of the low-income cycle. So you've got to explore ways to boost those earnings. Ask for a raise at your current job. Even a tiny bump adds up. Jump on gig platforms like TaskRabbit or Fiverr. Offer to do yard work or clean for your neighbors. Or dive into free platforms like Coursera and YouTube to learn digital skills that can unlock an entirely new, better-paying job. Making just an extra $100 or $200 a month completely rewires the math on that budget we just looked at. Finally, Section 5, Mastering the Money Mindset, Controlling the Controllables. Let's move to and see how this builds, because spreadsheets and strategies are great, but surviving financial stress takes serious mental toughness. Your mindset is honestly just as important as the math. You have to embrace progress over perfection. Celebrate any positive shift. If you saved $20 this month and nothing last month, that is a massive win. You might not be able to change your income level overnight, but you absolutely can control your spending, your daily habits, and the small actions you take today. And please, when things feel incredibly heavy, remember this. This is temporary. Your current income level does not define you, and it is not your permanent resting place. Every new skill you pick up, every dollar you stretch, every bit of debt you chip away at, it's all actively pulling you forward. You are doing the absolute best you can with what you have, and you should be so genuinely proud of that. I want to wrap up this explainer with a challenge for you, right here, right now. What is one single resource you will claim today? Seriously, don't wait for tomorrow. Call 211, apply for SNAP, or just sit down with a piece of paper and track your expenses for the very first time. Do just one thing today that hands you back a little bit of control. Thanks so much for joining me, and keep pushing forward.